Constitución in all of its glory. Its name was given in 1813 after being the place where the viceroy swore loyalty to the Constitution of Cádiz and the Spanish crown. This area is considered the heart of Mexico City, where political, economic, and religious powers have historically been located. For example, during the Aztec era, the main temple, known as Templo Mayor, was located on the north wing, while the Palace of Moctezuma was on the east wing. Built on top of these buildings later on during the colonial period, the Metropolitan Cathedral, which you can appreciate on our left, and the Palace of Cortes, now known as National Palace, will be in front of us when we turn. Right in front of the cathedral lies another important building, the current Town Hall. Initially built after the fall of the Aztecs in order to serve as a municipal headquarters, it was rebuilt around 1700 after a fire gave the building its current appearance. Today we know the Plaza de la Constitución by the name Zócalo, because during Santana's government in 1843, there was a proposal to erect a monument to the independence in the space where the flagpole stands today. Of these attempts, only the monument's base, or Zócalo, remained, hence the name. The square measures 20,000 square meters, making it the second largest in the world and the first in Latin America. It has been renovated several times over the years. It has had a kiosk, palm trees, and even planters. The closest image of what we see today comes from 1957, when the vegetation was removed and the flagpole was placed. The last restoration was done in 2017 to place new floor and drainage. Pay attention to is the one on our right. The Church of Jesus de Nazareno. This Catholic temple was built between the 17th and 18th centuries. Its value is threefold. It is home to the mural called Apocalypsis by José Clemente Orozco, the remains of Hernán Cortés, and the facade of the first cathedral of Mexico from the 16th century. At floor level on Pino Suárez Street, the first encounter between Moctezuma and Hernán Cortés took place on November the 8th, 1519. On that day, Hernán Cortés arrived from Iztapalapa, while Moctezuma walked from the Templo Mayor. Both offered gifts to one another and together walked to the Axayacatl Palace, located on today's Monte de Piedad, where the Spanish troops were hosted. As an homage to this event, there is a commemorative plaque next to the church which narrates this historical event. The relevant Catholic temple is the Church of San Miguel Arcángel, located on the right. Said church was the second one to be founded in the city in 1960, after the conquest. In addition, it was exclusively for Spaniards. By being located in the limit of the central plaza of the city, its function was to avoid the entrance of the devil to Nueva España. Therefore, it was dedicated to Archangel Michael, who is considered the universal patron of the church. Another peculiarity was the belief that if people prayed, requested, and made financial contributions in this temple, a soul was released from purgatory. Its name changes twice in time. First, it becomes San Antonio Abad Street, named after the place where the Antoninos established a temple to said saint during the colonial period. Later, it becomes Calzada de Tlalpan. The outline of this avenue is historic. It has its origins in the pre-Hispanic period, when it was the access route from the towns of Iztapalapa, Coyoacán, and Tlalpan to the center of the island. This advantage allowed for the most modern transportation systems in those times to be established along this route. First, the trolley pulled by mules during the 19th century, and then the electric trolley during the 20th century. Uneven crossings remain on the sides of the avenue, which were the accesses to the roads located on the center of Tlalpan. The subway would be located here later on. This section corresponds to Line 2. It runs from Tasqueña to Torreo de Cuatro Caminos in the north of the city. However, that was not its initial layout. This line was inaugurated in 1970 from Tacuba to Pino Suárez to Tasqueña in August 1970, and 1 month later from Pino Suárez to Tacuba. Finally, the Cuatro Caminos to Tacuba section was inaugurated in 1984. In the end, the line was 23,000 kilometers long, divided in 24 stations. In 2016 alone, it moved more than 280 million people, which made it the largest influx in the entire metro network, which that year transported more than 1 billion people. In this tour, we will only go through 8 stations, all of them on the surface along 2 boroughs. If you would choose to move through those 8 stations, you would be able to transfer twice into 2 other lines of the subway network. And you would even be able to access the trolley in Tuscania to go to Xochimilco. A fun fact of this subway line is the icons that represent each station. For example, the Villa de Cortés station is represented by an officer's helmet from the conquest period because Hernán Cortés was met there by an entourage sent by Emperor Moctezuma to escort him to the center of Tenochtitlan. It should be noted that Cortés came from the east of the city, which today is the area of Iztacalco and Iztapalapa. News on Calzada de Tlalpan, of which more interesting stories can be told. One of them is that on the right. We are crossing through several traditional neighborhoods in Mexico City. For example, the Alamos neighborhood, created around 1940, which streets bear the names of cities and provinces of Spain. In addition, the Bar Amanecer Tapatío was located on one of the corners, in which Vicente Fernández started his career. Important figures such as journalist Carmen Aristegui or former President Ernesto Zedillo have lived in said neighborhood. Another neighborhood is San Simón Ticumac, of which the beautiful church dedicated to San Simón Cananeo, built in the 16th century, stands out. Legend has it that Emperor Maximilian and his wife Carlota attended Mass at this church in order to get away from Chapultepec and the downtown area. These streets are also famous because the Mexican writer Carlos Monsiváis lived here, and because of the historic California Dancing Club, one of the most famous dance halls of the capital, visited by celebrities such as Cantinflas and Resortes, and has been the venue for multiple hits of cumbia, son, salsa, and danzón since 1954. In this neighborhood, you can find the Portales Market, a trading space with more than 60 years of life, in which you will not only find a great variety of food, vegetables, and groceries, but also products such as books and antiques.
Se inauguraron el 13 de septiembre de ese año por el presidente Gustavo Díaz Ordaz. La alberca recibió las competencias de natación, waterpolo, saltos y pentatlón moderno. Entre sus más célebres episodios está el 22 de octubre, cuando el nadador mexicano Felipe El Tibio Muñoz ganó la medalla de oro en los 200 metros planos estilo pecho. Actualmente, la alberca tiene una capacidad para más de 4.000 espectadores y es sede de diversas actividades acuáticas de carácter internacional o para los propios habitantes de la ciudad con clases de natación, pues tiene una alberca olímpica y una de calentamiento y una fosa y torre de clavados. Por su parte, en el gimnasio Juan de la Barrera se realizaron las competencias de voleibol en los Juegos Olímpicos del 68. Su capacidad actual es de más de 5.000 espectadores y en él se realizan lo mismo funciones de lucha libre que competencias internacionales de gimnasia. Ambos inmuebles destacan por su peculiar arquitectura, en especial los techos suspendidos de forma cóncava. De hecho, son resguardados por las autoridades culturales dado su valor histórico.
One of the most popular activities for locals and tourists in Mexico City is wrestling. This discipline combines combat and scenic arts and is one of the sports that defines us and has given us a national identity since the 19th century. The mandatory place for a wrestling match is Arena Mexico, also known as the Cathedral of Wrestling, inaugurated on September 21st, 1933. This is where the country's greatest wrestlers have performed. El Santo, Blue Demon, Mil Máscaras, Mystico, Ángel de Oro, and Dr. Wagner Jr. In this ring, many heads have been shaven and countless masks have been removed. A sacred temple indeed for any professional wrestler or aficionado. Council of the capital here, as well as military headquarters after the fall of Tenochtitlan. It is even said that in Coyoacán, Cortés killed his first wife and lived with La Malinche. During the Viceroyalty period, numerous haciendas and convents were established in Coyoacán. Its population was made up of natives, Spaniards. We are leaving the Antiguo Palacio del Ayuntamiento de Coyoacán, although it is known as the House of Hernán Cortés because it was believed that the Spaniard had lived there between 1520 and 1521. However, that is a lie. Truth is that it was the location of the first town hall of New Spain, and that the construction we see comes from the 18th century, built by Cortés's descendants. Since then, in the mid-1800s, it has housed the authorities of Coyoacán. Today, the building is listed as a historic monument. In its interior, it is possible to see a replica of the coat of arms that Felipe II gave to Coyoacán in 1561. Also, we can find the mural called The Conquest and the Agony of Cuauhtémoc, created because, story has it, that in this place the Aztec emperor's feet were burnt.